But if you're talking about breaking records, then if this player did it in this amount of time, then you should do it in that same amount of time.
In the world of basketball, rivalries ignite with a single spark. Sheryl Swoopes, the legendary 3-time MVP, has never been one to shy away from speaking her mind. And when it comes to Caitlin Clark, the rising star who's been making waves, Swoopes isn't holding back. But that's not all. Sue Bird, the iconic WNBA point guard, finally breaks her silence, revealing what she truly thinks about the ongoing clash. This is more than just a battle of words. It's a collision of eras and legacies. What was said will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about these players. Before looking at how Sue defended Clark, let's have a little recap of what Sheryl said regarding our very own rookie.
Well, the record books as Caitlin Clark is the all-time, whatever it is. I don't even know what the number is, but that's the way it'll be. And I don't think it should be.
One of Swoopesia's primary assertions was that Caitlin Clark had played 5 years in college, giving her an unfair advantage over past record holders. However, this claim is inaccurate. Clark has only played 4 years of college basketball, the same as Kelsey Plum, the previous record holder whom Swoopes referenced. Moreover, Clark broke the record in fewer games, which actually highlights her exceptional talent and efficiency on the court rather than diminishing her achievements. Swoopes also claimed that Clark takes an excessive number of shots per game, specifically stating that she averages around 40 shots per game. This statement is grossly misleading. In reality, Caitlin Clark averages about 19 shots per game throughout her college career, which is less than half of what Swoopes suggested. This exaggeration not only distorts the perception of Clark's playing style, but also unjustly portrays her as a ball-hogging player, which is far from the truth.
Let's also talk about how much more experience that gives you over other players coming in, right? So people say, dang, like he or she's killing them, but you have a 25-year-old playing against a 20-year-old. Mm-hmm. Like, you should be killing them. Because you've been doing it a lot longer than they have.
Furthermore, Swoopes incorrectly stated that Caitlin Clark is 25 years old, implying that her age gave her an unfair experience advantage over younger players. In fact, Clark is only 22 years old, which is typical for a college senior. This erroneous claim again seemed to be an attempt to discredit Clark's achievements by suggesting that she was significantly older and more experienced than her peers, which is simply not the case.
So for people to come at me and say that I made those comments because I'm a racist, like, first of all, black people can't be racist, but like, that's the farthest thing from my mind. Like, I grew up in a very small West Texas town, predominantly white. My best childhood friend is white. So it's important for me that I speak up for people that look like me.
After being called out for these inaccuracies, Sheryl Swoopes responded defensively, claiming that her comments were not racially motivated and expressing frustration at being labeled as racist. She emphasized that her statements were made to support athletes who share her background and experiences. Swoopes referenced her own upbringing in a predominantly white town and her lifelong advocacy for black athletes. However, this response did little to address the factual inaccuracies in her criticism of Caitlin Clark, and instead shifted the focus to the racial dynamics surrounding the discussion. Now let's see what Sue has to say.
Everybody's clearly got their defensive game plan built around her, which is a compliment, but you got to figure it out from there.
Well, I mean, when you first arrived on the scene up in Seattle, what were you facing coming out of UConn, having lost only 4 games in college, Sue?
Yeah, getting used to losing. I remember the first game we lost.
The expectations placed on Caitlin Clark are immense. As a highly touted draft pick, there is a significant amount of pressure on her to perform at a high level immediately. This pressure is amplified by the fact that she has been drafted to a team that has not performed well in recent seasons. The weight of turning the team's fortunes around seems to have fallen squarely on her shoulders. This level of expectation is rare, especially for a rookie, and it brings both positive and negative consequences. On one hand, being the focus of every opponent's defensive strategy is a sign of respect. Teams recognize Clark's talent and are determined to limit her impact on the game. On the other hand, this intense scrutiny can make it difficult for a player to showcase their abilities, especially when they are still adjusting to a new level of play. Clark has faced some of the top defensive teams in the league right out of the gate, which has further complicated her transition.
I remember the first game we lost, first game of the season. We actually played the New York Liberty, and they had Teresa Weatherspoon and Becky Hammon at the time. We lost to them, and I'm in the locker room having a little bit of a fit, right? A little bit of a tantrum. I'm not used to this. And everybody's like, oh, where you guys want to go to dinner tonight? And it took me a second to understand that was also part of pro sports.
The WNBA is a highly competitive league, and the transition from college to professional basketball is significant. While Caitlin Clark was a standout player in college, the WNBA presents a whole new set of challenges. The players are faster, stronger, and more experienced, and the game itself is played at a higher intensity. For a rookie, even one as talented as Clark, this adjustment can be overwhelming. There is also the matter of the physicality of the game. The WNBA is known for its tough, physical style of play, something that many college players have to adapt to. Clark is no different in this regard. While she has shown flashes of brilliance, there have also been moments where she has looked out of sorts, struggling to cope with the physical demands of the professional game. This is not unusual for a rookie, and it is something that she will likely improve on as she gains more experience.
She looked pissed, Sue. She looked livid. Like she was like just barely slapping the hands of her coach and teammates. She looked really angry last night.
I mean, yeah, definitely. Let's not forget that she probably has arguably the most pressure that any, women's basketball player has ever had coming into the WNBA. I mean, sometimes it feels like the weight of the WNBA is on her shoulders.
One of the more contentious issues surrounding Caitlin Clark's entry into the WNBA has been the perception that her arrival somehow diminishes the achievements of existing players. There has been a narrative that Clark was being prematurely anointed as the new face of the league, a notion that some believe disrespects the veterans who have built the WNBA into what it is today. This perception is not entirely unfounded. The media hype surrounding Clark has been enormous, and it is easy to see how this could be seen as overshadowing the accomplishments of current players.
Sometimes it feels like the weight of the WNBA is on her shoulders. That is both, like I said earlier, a compliment and warranted in a lot of ways, but also maybe a little bit unfair to put so much on her, and then to not play up to her abilities in this early part would be frustrating.
However, it is important to note that this is not a reflection of Clark's attitude or behavior. By all accounts, she has shown nothing but respect for the league and its players. She understands the legacy she is stepping into and has expressed her admiration for the women who paved the way before her. The issue, therefore, seems to be more about the way the narrative has been framed, rather than any disrespect on Clark's part.
Caitlin, I thought that was really unfortunate because that's not the reality. Nobody was questioning Caitlin's ability. Nobody was questioning Caitlin's popularity, what she's done for the sport. How could you? I think at the end of the day, it's just competitive athletes talking about what they've already been through. So that was kind of the unfortunate part of it. I don't think that, saying a college player is going to have to adjust to a professional league is that crazy.
The media's portrayal of Caitlin Clark's entry into the WNBA has been a double-edged sword. On one hand, it has brought a significant amount of attention to the league, drawing in new fans and increasing viewership. On the other hand, the intense focus on Clark has sometimes overshadowed the reality of her situation. As a rookie, she is still learning and growing, and it is unrealistic to expect her to dominate immediately. The narrative that she is the savior of the WNBA puts undue pressure on her and creates unrealistic expectations for her performance. This has led to some friction between fans, the media, and the players themselves. There has been a sense that Clark is being unfairly compared to established stars, and this has created tension within the league. However, it is worth noting that this is not entirely a negative thing. Healthy competition and debate are good for sports, and the attention that Clark has brought to the WNBA can only be seen as a positive in the long run. What do you think? Make sure to share your thoughts in the comments, and if you want to stay updated on this unfolding drama, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications.